You want to do a quick mic check review?
Yep, mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2. Hopefully no bad audio.
You get the response?
Oh. I thought you were checking that. I thought you were supposed to check that. Hold up, give me 2 seconds.
Well, because I can't really.
Okay, mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2. Sounding good. We're good.
All right.
At least for now.
And here we go. Hello everybody, welcome on board. I'm Fan2403, joined alongside AKDJ 2006. We're here at Spa, the last curveball race as we're going to call it. As XRS Cup Series, we're back after an exhibition race that we held last week. That I was there, but I was not in the booth. AK was. So, overall, AK, how was that race last week, the exhibition, being IndyCars at Indianapolis? Much different from what we are trying to do here in the Cup Series.
Yeah, obviously with it being a much more aerodynamic car, I was taking some drivers for a curveball, but all in all, it was a very fun and action-packed race. A lot of different style of racing. We saw a lot of big packs form between 7 to 8 cars in those packs. So obviously a very different style of racing, and a very different car to race. But all in all, like I said, very fun and action-packed race.
Yep, and thank you for broadcasting that. Me, I was there, but as a competitor. And I can say from my point of view, very much spot on. It was an action-packed event. And the racing, very different styles of racing. Me personally, I love IndyCar, so it was great to be a part of that. And hopefully XRS runs more exhibition-style races for the future. But now we go back on schedule. Here we are continuing. This will be race 14, Spa, tonight. 31 laps. That seems short, but it takes over 2 minutes to complete one lap. So a similar deal to Le Mans, but at Le Mans we ran a timed event. Did the stream just go back? No, it's still up. Okay. Sorry about that. So when we went at Le Mans, that was a timed event because the track was just really big. I believe, Le Mans, it takes over 4 minutes to run a lap there?
Yeah, something close to that, I believe.
Yeah, it takes over 4 minutes to run a lap at Le Mans. So very much a similar ordeal here, but it's not as long, so we don't need to go to a timed race, just shorter amount of laps. The drivers here just completed and wrapped up with qualifying. We will have a grid order here for you soon from Race Control. But, AK, we noted at the top of the broadcast that this is the last curveball race. And what we're really trying to mean by that, if you take a look at this, including this race, the past 4 races have been at tracks that really XRS has never touched in the series history. So here at Spa, this will be the first XRS Cup race at Spa. But then last week we ran Maple Valley as a part of a new spin-off of the short road courses, or just pretty much the miniature ovals as we call them as well. But then race 12 we ran Le Mans, and race 11 we ran at Hockenheim. So what has the true challenge been for all these drivers? A lot of them, for the past 4 races, it's been their first time racing the Cup car at that track.
Yeah, like you said, first time racing in a cup car at that track. Some guys practiced, others didn't. They sort of winged it. But obviously, it's a road course, so those guys with road course experience, either in other series or just having fun on Forza Motorsports, they obviously took a huge advantage early on, and it was a huge curveball for everyone because obviously it's a NASCAR. It doesn't really have the best of grip going around some sharp corners like turn one here at Spa. So you have to sort of know how and what your car is going to do when it's going to grip up, when it's going to break loose. So the guys with the road course experience excelled a lot in those events, while some of the others that are more adapt to ovals, such as Homestead, Daytona, and Indianapolis, sort of struggled for at least the first half of the race.
Yep, very different racing conditions of what we've seen in the past couple of races. As you stated, we have a lot less grip in these cars, and it's always going to be a challenge week in, week out, especially at these curveball. But now after Spa, approaching into next week, the next races leading up into the final stint into the playoffs, very much not unfamiliar tracks. If AK, you want to go over the following races that we're going to be approaching at.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, like we said, now it's composed of these races. These are more of your more oval races. Obviously, they started off a little kink in the regular Homestead road circuit, rain on it. So obviously, again, guys with road course experience will have a fairly big advantage. But this is obviously a track we've run now a couple times in XRS. So most of the drivers should be at least have a little sense of how to take this. That's race 15. Race 16, we stay at Homestead, but this time we go on the oval. Obviously, no rain there. So now a very familiar track for a lot of the drivers, and those with the oval experience will then come into play. Road 17 is Road America Full Circuit. We've raced this one a couple times, so obviously, yes, it is a road course, but we've raced it a couple times, so at least majority of these drivers should have experience with it with these cars. And then race 18 is one that everyone has raced on at least once or twice, especially this season. Daytona Oval, obviously, not much, not much to do with. Obviously, you don't need to brake at this track. It's more just drafting knowledge and how your car affects in the draft and how to get apart and inside those draft bubbles. So all in all, a lot of familiar tracks coming up for a lot of these racers.
Yep, and that was really the intention of what XRS was going for here in this stint to the playoffs. We were going to have a lot of similar tracks that we were going to be facing right before the playoffs, because it makes it to where everybody's familiar to them, so it's no longer a new challenge. Your challenge is to simply recover from any bad races that you might have had in the loophole or in the curveball races, and then go in and go all out, do your best for come time for the playoffs. Speaking of, let's go over the point standings here going into this race. It's not close at the cut line for 8th and 9th, but there are a couple point battles going on. One very close point separation between 5th, 6th, and 7th in the playoffs, that being Panda, Oracle, and Reno. All of them being in the field tonight, so we could have a lot of mid-playoff position changes. And that's not too short to shy on. Panda is currently leading those three at 398. Then we have Oracle at 397. And then following, we have Reno at 391. So all under that 10-point gap in the 390s. But then another thing to note, Reno leads them in playoff points. He has 4 playoff points. He got a podium finish earlier this year, but then he also won the XRS 500, giving him 3 points. So he has 4 playoff points. Oracle has only gotten 1 podium this season. It was a 3rd place finish, so that's why he only has 1 playoff point. But then Panda has 0 playoff points. And come time for the playoffs, if the playoffs started today, Culture and Panda, 4th and 5th in the regular season standings, would get knocked down to 7th and 8th. So, AK, what do you think we're going to see with those drivers? Are they know right now they're in, so they're not trying to fight to stay in, but they are fighting to get better off when the playoffs actually come around? So could we see different styles of racing just so then they can maintain their spot?
Yeah, obviously the fight for them now is they need to start achieving at least top threes. So you'll see
Mm-hmm.
probably some cautious racing at the start of races just to keep a position at least close to the top five, and then near the end of races when you'll see them start to be more aggressive with their driving styles to get into those top threes because they know at this point, especially with some guys like Vanquish and MVP who have 22 and 19 playoff points, and even Cart with 7, they know that they need to at least start getting playoff points now, or they're going to be in for a huge uphill battle later on into the playoffs with only this race including 5 left, I believe.
And now we have a we have a question in the chat. Who is winning the playoffs in your opinion? Ooh, would you say it's a little early to make a playoff prediction, AK? Or do you think it's fair?
I
Give a
mean,
playoff
we are
prediction.
only technically 5 weeks from the playoffs, and
I would say the Vanquish or MVP has to be the favorite.
yeah,
They
Vanquish
have
or
to.
MVP is definitely some of the favorites. Obviously, MVP is leading the regular season with 19 playoff points, but Vanquish back in third has 22. So really, I think those two are the favorites. But obviously, Cart with 7, he also has a shot as well. A lot of these drivers do have shots, and I think it's fair to say we'll see some upsets during the playoff races when we start to see cuts and everything. So obviously, I would say the favorites, like you said, are definitely MVP or Vanquish, as those two have the most playoff points and are in the top 3 for points. But really, I could see some upsets as well.
Yep. There is the start of the grid order there. Keynote Jenkin, he's all the way in last and 16th because he did not qualify. He did not attend the qualifying session, but he is going to obviously race. So that is the grid order for you. Here at the start, the cars are going to start pacing right away, going off the start. And going back to point battles, another important point battle that we're going to be talking about is actually one outside of the playoffs, just outside the playoffs. That being Tython and Off-Road Hype. They're 9th and 11th, so they're not next to each other, but they both are fighting for one criteria, the 9th wildcard playoff spot. If you've been watching our past broadcasts, it has been noted that the 9th wildcard spot, one, you need 3 requirements in order to be eligible for the 9th playoff spot. But then, on top of that, having the 9th playoff spot, being eligible for it, you just need to be ahead of the other people who are eligible for it. So, with Tython being ahead of Off-Road right now, there's quite a big bit of gap between 8th and 9th. So, we don't think that this race Tython will get in unless something catastrophic happens to D-Dog, another competitor in the field tonight. So if anything happens there, then we're not expecting much from that battle, but we are expecting Off-Road and Tython to be very, maybe overly aggressive with each other because they know that 9th playoff spot could be crucial to give themselves a chance to prove that they're worthy at competing for a championship.
Yeah, and obviously,
In case you missed the grid order... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
obviously with Tython having those 11 playoff points, and with the 9th spot not getting any points or playoff points, those 11 playoff points would really be helping Tython. Obviously, Off-Road does have 3 to a name himself from a win, but obviously Tython would be sort of the more beneficial from getting that 9th playoff spot. He would be as much at a deficit as other people who would take that 9th playoff spot.
Well, and the deficit is those 11 points he can't use. Because if you qualify for that 9th spot and you're able to make the 9th playoff spot, you're able to be the wild card driver, you are unable to use any of your playoff points that you have gathered at the regular season. So your playoff points reset while everyone else's playoff points are boosted by plus 10. And so it makes it to where while getting that 9th playoff spot does give you a chance, it's a very slim one. Going over the grid order, in case you missed it, Vanquish and MVP on the front row. They were running lap times probably 3 to 2 seconds faster than what we saw in the average of the field. Tython off-road, both guys not too far off of their lap times, but could be a fight to see later on in the race. Then Oracle and Cart, D-Dog and Culture, Panda and Edwards, Reno and FME Sports, RZX Cam and Smokey Eunuch, and then Goosey and Jankum rounding out the field. 16 competitors in the field tonight. 31 laps to be complete. AK, any last second thoughts? Of what we might see. You know what? Pit strategy is something. And currently not getting a response from AK. AK, is your mic muted?
It was.
It's working now?
Whoops. Like I was saying just before I muted my mic. Obviously, with this being such a big track, pit strategy does come into play. If you miscalculate by 1 lap, that could be the end of your race, like we see in at Le Mans.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And now cars rounding the final chicane. At the end of the tire barriers here to the start line is when they can go. And they decide to go right away. Green flag is out. Race 14 is underway.
Into turn 1. Let's see if anyone misses braking zones. No one did, but there was car around in the back though. As I was about to say, we only made it through with a couple bangs.
A lot of beating and banging. We'll see how they handle a Rouge, or Radion, however you might want to pronounce it. Now, usually for road courses, as Oracle gets a little squirrely at the top. Now, normal rules in XRS permit the use of runoffs, but for a Rouge, you do need to run it normally. You cannot cut a Rouge or go off in any way. And into the tire barrier! One driver went. I couldn't quite tell who it was.
We got 2 cars off-roading Goosey. That holds up Smokey and Edwards.
That might have... I think it was off-road who got into the wall.
Yeah, I did appear that when Edwards came around the corner, it was off-road.
Yeah.
Head-on into that inside chicane.
Already off-road went into the tire barrier. Not unclear if whether any damages there.
The outside tire wall. It looks like he might have missed his braking and then locked up the brakes and went head-on into it, just from where I was looking.
So a little bit of a rough start from a couple drivers here, and it could just be them trying to feel out the track, trying to know where is the pace of everything going on. And now with that first incident, the top drivers have pulled away.
Might have been a start and park. Oh, Oracle's around.
Oracle.
It looked like he might have had some help from Cam and Culture.
Yep, Oracle we have around, and nope, everybody is showing everybody still in the race. So not quite sure what that delay was in the stream.
Oh, G-Dog way overshot the tight chicanes. And he gets into Cam trying to rebound from it, and Cam doesn't save it into the outside wall on the front stretch.
And caution is out. From a couple incidents that might have happened. Now we are unsure what chain of events exactly brought out the yellow.
If I had to assume, the earliest one that probably could have brought it out was probably
off-road.
Yeah.
Yeah, off-road, that was the earliest one that occurred, but obviously there was a few more incidents that happened. So, a little bit of growing pains as drivers are trying to figure out the track. I think that this race could very much be like what we saw a few weeks ago at Hockenheim. Hockenheim, another well-known Formula 1 track. Spa, a well-known Formula 1 track that it's going to be just a lot of drivers learning. It's going to be a lot of drivers learning the track, especially in these cars and the way that you should be able to run it. So, who knows? We could have a lot of first half action, but then second half, we see drivers knowing what they're doing and not making as many mistakes as they might be making now.
Yeah, and this is a track that will definitely harm you for any mistake you make, big or small, as it's some parts of this track you can barely fit 2 cars wide on it, and it's a very technical and tight track with a lot of sandbank or a lot of sand patches on either side of it, which will cost you a lot of time if you go off. So obviously, you need to be very precise and almost perfect on this track to make sure that you're not causing yourself any time loss or losing any positions on it.
Yep, for sure. You do not want to have a costly mistake cost you an entire lap, an entire lap's worth of time. Speaking of time, I believe, now here we can go ahead and announce something that we have been waiting for a long time to announce. XRS starting after this race and going into next race weekend, we are announcing the XRS Wheel to Wheel podcast. Now, if that name sounds familiar, that's because I can say my partner here, AK, that was your podcast, the Wheel to Wheel podcast. But in an agreement between you and XRS, you of course will still be the main producer of the show, Wheel to Wheel podcast, and me and you are to be the hosts of the show. So a lot of exciting stuff coming forward and ahead. And AK, thank you for being able to allow us to join together in a partnership with that.
Yeah, obviously we did it for a little bit, and unfortunately we just couldn't find time after this. But now, obviously with more people and sort of an open schedule on my part, I was sort of looking to get into it, and then XRS was also looking to get into a podcast. We just sort of formed a partnership just to make sure things were rolling as fast as we wanted them to.
Yep, and you could expect a lot to come forward into the future, as a green flag is back out.
Again, I think this will be a problem spot, especially off these restarts, is turn 1. All it takes is one person to miss a braking zone and a pile up to start, and there it is, off-roads around, another car around. I believe it was 19. I couldn't quite catch the name, though.
Yep, off-road.
Sorry, that was the 15.
Around.
15 of Panda, so that's one of those drivers that we said was in a very tight playoff position and could not afford mistakes like this.
Yeah, very much stuff that you do not want to see, especially with those competitors. That's stuff that they do not want to see. I believe a car just went around on the backstretch. That, or they either just clipped the grass. I believe it was clipping the grass, yeah. 3 drivers were getting very aggressive with each other, Goosey, Edwards, and Reno being one of them all the way back for 11th, 12th, and 13th. Reno now trying to contest with RZX Cam up to the 10th spot. And it gets tight at the top of a Rouge. Reason why, it's not because of how narrow it is, it's because of how much speed you're carrying at the top of a Rouge. It really makes it to where...
Ooh, Cam's around.
As Cam spins around. He did tag Edwards, but I don't believe he tagged anybody else. But at the top of a Rouge, it does make it to where you have less stability in your car because of how much speed you're trying to carry over. So it does make it to where it is for sure a hassle.
Yeah, and that's with a
Let's move forward right along with FME Sports. Go ahead, AK.
That's with the uphill, a fair few parts of this track is you just have so much speed and coming to some, not necessarily sharp corners, but some not terribly wide corners or not terribly lengthy corners. So it feels a lot tighter than it actually looks. And that's something that I think have thrown off a couple of these drivers, is that you're carrying a lot more speed and it doesn't look very tight, but with that speed it makes it very tight. Oh, car!
Oh, Oracle!
Looking to save it. He does.
He does. He's able to save it. He is able to save it. What a save from Oracle. We were about to go ahead and go to Oracle because we had Another chat. Yes, what a save from Void is Cool in the chat. You wanted to look at Oracle's paint scheme. Wanted to see, how is his paint scheme? There's a couple good paint schemes in the field tonight, but Oracle, we've seen him run this car in the past, the Culver's Mobile 1 scheme.
Yeah, and I think that part where Oracle just had a problem is I think another problem spot that we'll see into this race is because, yet again, another very fast section of the course that comes down to a very, very sharp chicane. So if you even miss your braking spot by a little bit, you're in for a lot of trouble with those tire barriers. Oh, car going wide, it's D-Dog going into the chicane.
Yeah, D-Dog, we caught him going wide ahead. Now we're on board with Culture. So D-Dog, Jenkem, Culture. Jenkem making his way back up through the front. Remember, he started in 16th, made up 10 spots so far, looking to get inside the top 5.
And to see D-Dog is having a problem at those problem spots, just getting his car wound up. He might be just misjudging his braking by a little bit, because I believe that's the second time he's gone wide on a corner like that. First was at the final chicane, and now at the first chicane.
Now Oracle trying to come through as well, trying to fight alongside with Culture, and he will get around. Now you are allowed to use that runoff all the way through that wide sweeping section of turns that this group of 4 drivers that were watching just came around, but it looks like you might be slower if you go all the way out there. So runoff beneficial in some areas, but not every area?
Yeah, and that tracks, especially if you track like Spa, it's a really pick and choose where you want to do it. Sometimes there are runoffs that do work and work in your favor, but a spot like that where it's not a very long straight to the next corner, and the next corner you need to be at least relatively careful on, especially at high speeds. It's not really too beneficial. Not only does it make the track longer, but it also doesn't really give you much of a benefit speed-wise. Oh!
Jenkem goes to pit road. Yeah, Jenkem goes into pit road. And if you take a close look at D-Dog's car as we're riding along with them, you see Wheel to Wheel Podcast. As D-Dog, he is the creator of the logo that we will be using. So thanks to D-Dog for being able to provide that.
Yeah, and
let's go up to the leaders.
I don't know officially posted the logo, but obviously it is a very nice logo. We went through a couple of drafts.
Yeah.
There were a couple of drafts we went through and finally landed on that one, which I don't know if you've posted yet, but I'm sure if you haven't, now you will.
Yeah, I have not posted to.
Soon.
The logo has not been posted to the public, but it has been posted. All the drivers know about the Wheel to Wheel podcast for XRS, so we will for sure be going over with them who wants to be interviewed in the podcast, who wants to be in episode 1. And because we're planning on to make these podcast episodes weekly, we allow 2 guests on the podcast. Episode durations can be anywhere to as short as 20 minutes to as long as almost 40 minutes. So for sure a wide duration, and we just hope to have a lot of fun with it. We hope to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main goal of every podcast, is just to have a little fun, relax, talk about what's going on in the week span, news-wise. So also it will be very fun, and it should be a cool little thing that XRS will have from now on.
Riding on board with the top 3, Vanquish, MVP, and Tython. MVP and Tython are very close to each other. In fact, Tython, he's trying to get around MVP. Definitely looks like, it definitely looks like that Tython is for sure a little bit faster than MVP. But Vanquish, he is quite a ways ahead. But if Tython feels like he's faster than MVP, is he trying to get to Vanquish? Is his lap times on par with Vanquish? Tython, he did join in later into the practice session that we were running earlier this evening, so we were unable to really see what kind of lap times Tython was able to run. But Tython, as we know, has been an incredibly fast driver, especially competing with the 2 top guys, the 2 favorites, as we've been saying with Vanquish and MVP.
Yeah, and it appears every week Tython is getting a little by little faster with each coming week. At the beginning of the season, you didn't really see him too much, but now in these probably the second half of the season, we've been talking about him in the top 5 to even the top 3 fairly consistently through the next couple of weeks. So he does look to be shaping up to become a competitor if he can make it inside that playoff.
Yeah, Tython originally, I've known him as a competitor and a driver for a while, as he does make a small mistake and MVP goes by. I've known Tython for a while as a competitor when I used to compete. You used to compete as well, AK, so you probably have raced with Tython a handful of times. Tython originally, he just came to race for fun, and he only raced on the road courses. But now this season, he has a shot at doing something more than just racing on the road courses. So, Tython, very much, we would like to see him compete more often. And if Tython is able to achieve that, then it could be very, very, very competitive for the championship. Because we have multi-time champions competing, we have MVP and Vanquish drivers who have never competed in XRS prior to this season, but they for sure have been some of the fastest drivers ever.
Tython gets very loose
Tython.
and comes about a foot from clipping the wall.
He was just trying to warm his tires a little faster.
Yeah, he's just putting on a, just putting on a show, you know. Gotta make it look fancy.
Now, you want a show? Let's go to Panda, who's in 7th place right now, running a Red Bull car, and he nearly clips the sand trap. Panda, the unique thing about Panda and his paint schemes that we've seen this season, he tries to run a theme based off of the track that we are at. So Spa, I guess, his favorite Formula 1 team is Red Bull. Or is this the track for Formula 1 that's known as the Red Bull Ring?
I don't
or
believe
is that,
so. I could be mistaken.
Or is that Monaco?
That's a great question. A question
I know.
I don't have the answer
I know.
to.
I know. There's one track that it's known as like Red Bull Ring, but
Yeah, I seen it on a set of courses today. No idea which one it is though.
Well, look, we have 2 drivers that have found themselves not next to each other, but they're next to each other in position. Culture and Kart, the league owner.
You should have let me guess. I was gonna guess.
Yep, 10th and 11th place, but there is quite a bit of gap between them. Yeah, there's a little over 1,000-foot gap in between. Kart just at the top of a Rouge, while Culture was around exiting the turn 1 area, so quite a big gap between them.
Yeah,
and quite a big separation in the field in general.
Yeah, I mean, at road courses, we see this all the time. Is you might have a couple smaller groups, but for the most part, the field is relatively spread out.
Yep, you can see on the track map there that very much the top 3 are actually some of the closest guys together, but then we have another 3-car group being led by Smokey in 12th. Smokey being ahead of Reno and Jankum, and also FM Esports just trailing little ways behind. With FM, we actually have a little thing to where he actually has a number change for this race. As you can see, that little M next to his 21, so he's running the 21M. And you are allowed number changes just as long as it's registered in our official number catalog that keeps track of all the drivers' numbers. So the number change is completely legal. Everything doesn't change who gets points and how many points you get distributed. Quite a cool paint scheme with FM running DoorDash as his main sponsor.
Yeah, I think over the season, something I think we should do is actually just make some of the better schemes. We should just make like just a compilation of them because there's been a couple really good paint schemes throughout the season. Obviously, we had pretty good Ken Block tribute schemes. We had a couple at Le Mans. We had probably 1 or 2 really good paint schemes every race. And it sort of gives maybe some of the guys that aren't going to be as competitive as others, just give them a shine and...
Whoa! Jankum Reno and Smokey both overran the final chicane, and Jankum ran it perfectly. He goes on by. Now Jankum's up to 12th.
Just people trying to outbreak each other, and unfortunately, I think that was the outcome of that.
We have another question from chat. XRS, what is your opinion on Forza 8's development? Well, so far in the teaser and the development trailers that Turn 10 has released, I mean, they did do was it the dev blog? Is that what it's called? The
Yep.
Xbox event.
Yeah, dev blog.
Yeah. So they were able to release a lot of information. It looks nice. The game overall looks nice. The only thing that we have noticed is that it changed from spring 2023 to just 2023. So we don't know if that leaves room for them to release it later in 2023 rather than spring. But overall, XRS as a whole is excited for the game. We're excited to continue our league and our series on there, whether it be NASCAR or not. We are, of course, going to be looking forward to the new game. Oh, do you think it's going to be next-gen only?
Yes.
From the looks of it, I feel like yes, it will be a next-gen only game.
There's not a question in my mind, yes.
Yeah. I feel like for sure it's probably going to be a next-gen only. Either way, we're along for the ride, and hopefully you and a lot of other fans join us there for it. Not clones of me, with my name being Fan243. Sorry, that was a bad joke.
Alright, now that we got those jokes out of the way.
looks like Kart Racer has made his way to pit road.
I did say early
Actually,
on that
no, not Kart Racer.
Some other
spectator glitch. No, spectator glitch. When I hovered over the driver, it said Kart Racer. But obviously that wasn't him, because Kart is up on a Rouge battling AUG Edwards.
Also, yeah, at the beginning of this race, I called out, I said we'd have a dark horse and they'd be in row number 2, and at least for now, that's been pretty accurate. We have Tython, who started in row number 2, and he's kept fairly good pace with Vanquish and MVP. He's actually passed MVP at one point, but obviously made a small mistake, and MVP capitalized. But I think, I'm not going to say for sure, I think Tython might be our dark horse for tonight.
Well, if that be so, the top 3 really hasn't changed much since the start of the race. We did have the early incident with Off-Road, and we'll see where Off-Road is right now. Off-Road is currently in the 6th position. So, we know Off-Road, he's pretty quick, and he will make his way probably back up to that top 4 as the race goes on. We're already a third of the way through, and so really, as in a few laps here, as we start to reach the halfway point, not much room for error. So you really need to try and get yourself in a prime position to better yourself for the second half of this race. And hopefully Off-Road and others are able to do that.
Yeah, I think we'll start to see a lot more aggressive driving, especially near the packs, is just to get those spots, because at this point in the season, everyone knows it's go time for playoff points and just points in general to get inside those playoffs. There's a couple guys that are just outside of that playoff bubble, or just outside that 9th spot, that need these points, and people that obviously just need the playoff points who are inside the playoffs. So I think as we reach lap 15 and that halfway point, I think that's when we're going to see a lot of cars just not holding back, as they've sort of figured out the track and figured out how much they can and can't push it. So I think it will be we'll start to see go time a lot earlier in these next couple of races.
And hopefully me and you will join me, and we'll see those battles in the next coming weeks. It's going to get interesting here. Void, thank you for the follow on the Twitch page.
Another thing I think we'll see coming here soon is we've seen a couple guys going relatively early, all things considered. So I think some people are starting to use the safer strategy now, especially in these later positions, in hopes that other people who are more desperate go for more of an aggressive pit strategy, like we seen last week, or not last week, but the week before at Le Mans, and just
Hmm.
trying, and you just see those pit strategies and hopes that they'll maybe be another person that runs out of gas or doesn't have the tire wear to continue pushing their car as hard as others. And I think we'll see sort of not a split necessarily, but you'll be able to see who's more in desperate spot based on their pit strategy.
Do you think we'll see the Vegas strat?
You know what? I think we will here. We've seen it
You think
last
we
week.
will? All
We've
right.
seen it at Le Mans, and I think we'll see it again this week.
We did see at Le Mans. It did not work at Le Mans,
I
but
think it's only worked once out of like the 5 times we've seen it. So massive gamble, sometimes massive reward.
yep. And let's go and highlight and watch the driver who did not pull it off at Le Mans, that being MVP. For those of you watching and those who may not know, what we like to call the Vegas strat, as AK has kind of trademarked it here.
Yeah, trademark.
It's pretty much an all or nothing strategy. Or you're winging it as you go along, and then you decide to pretty much pit the earliest that you can, so then you're at 0 as you cross the line.
Yeah, you're at like
0% fuel.
2 to 0% left in fuel. Your tires are probably cooked. And
Your tires are done, and you just go. It's the all or nothing. It's an all or nothing. You're putting it all out there, and we've seen MVP try to pull it off a handful of times.
Not like twice.
I believe he.
I think he's 0 for 2 right now.
Yeah, we've seen MVP try to pull it.
At Daytona, the first race, and he finished basically dead last, and then he tried at Le Mans and finished basically dead last.
Well, him and a few other drivers tried it at Daytona. I believe it was the top 3 that tried it. Top 3 or top 2 cars that tried it.
Yeah. There was like high placing cars who really didn't have much to lose to play a safe strategy, and then they played a risky strategy and lost everything. MVP seems to like to risk it all. That's what I found out, and he's not very lucky. Should not go to Vegas.
Hopefully he can find more luck being able to pull his way closer and closer.
Third time's the charm is all I'm saying, MVP.
Third time's the charm indeed. So we'll see if he tries to pull the infamous all or nothing strat. As Smokey and Cam getting together, Smokey around. He just taps the wall a little bit. Oh, but right in front. No, Reno's able to slow down and get recovered. So Smokey and Cam, they're having a small battle there. It looked like there was just not enough room there, and they made room for error, but the error forced Smokey around.
Yeah, and like we said, they were in a fairly sharp, I shouldn't say sharp, but fairly fast part of the track that makes the track extremely tight and sharp. So obviously, just like we said, some of these spots you can barely fit too wide with speed. Unfortunately, that looked to be one of those situations where you just couldn't fit too wide between the two drivers.
Now going back to the fight just inside the top 10, or the battle for 10th, that being Culture and Jankum, as they're approaching the final chicane. And Culture, he does go wide. He did get into the grass. Culture. Culture got into the grass a little bit, he wanted to cross over Jankum, but was unable to quite pull off that move, so we'll see. Culture, of course, kind of being a lone wolf, as he is the only Trackhouse car in the field, but there is reason to that. The other Trackhouse competitor and driver being JDMX Hawk. We won't see Hawk for the rest of this season, and it is due to a season-long suspension that was given to JDMX Hawk. So the suspension, if you must know for detail, not much detail, obviously, but was for very much inappropriate language use, and XRS is starting to approach with a zero tolerance policy on inappropriate language in our Discord and in the race chatter and communication. So very much rules are the rules, and Hawk broke them. So very unfortunate, especially as AKAs noted that Hawk could have been a third competitor for that 9th playoff spot.
Yeah, and at the time, I believe he was the top competitor for that playoff spot.
He just didn't have the win.
Yeah, and it was missing the one requirement that he's come oh so close to about 5 or 6 times through the season, obviously racking up the title Mr. Consistency throughout it with his, 3 top 3s and 2 top 2s or something along that line.
Very consistently, week in, week out, Hawk was finishing on the podium, second and third, but was not quite to pull out the win.
Yeah, and obviously he did look overdue for it, and then he took a break, and unfortunately, after he came back from his break, he racked up that penalty that cost him his season and the chance at the title.
Right, along with 2 Shift Motorsports cars battling at it for 7th. 7th and 8th being Kart Racer and D-Dog.
Hey, look, we found one moment where Culture and Kart aren't next to each other. Oh, okay. Apparently, Kart didn't like that idea too much, and he almost took out D-Dog.
Well, D-Dog, he's trying to fly up a Rouge, and I don't believe he can do that without wings.
That's why Panda has the Red Bull car. I figured it out.
Ah, that's why Panda has the... Where is Panda?
Right up ahead. Is that... Yeah, right up ahead of them.
Yeah, nope, yep, he's in 5th. When I was going to look for Panda, I started going backwards instead of forward.
Well, if you would have taken a look about half a lap earlier, he would have been in 6th. Oracle just went into pit at the beginning of that lap.
that is true. Yes. Sorry, Panda, for assuming that you were at the back half of the field.
Where's Panda? Let me go back down. Hold up.
Panda racking himself at top 5. No, Panda has for sure, in all seriousness, Panda has for sure been a good competitor overall this season. I mean, he's 5th in the point standings. And that is something in a competitive field as we've seen. The field is not that quite competitive as who we're seeing win in, win out. I mean, MVP and Vanquish, they've gotten most of the wins this season.
I think they have like 75% of the wins. And then
yeah, those two.
Titan and JK. Oh, and Culture. Forgot about that one.
In wins this season?
Did Titan not win?
Off-road has won. Reno has won. Reno won the very first race.
JK and Reno, same thing, close enough.
Yeah, it's not quite the same thing, but
hey, they're both good at Daytona.
They both are, for sure. Both of them are pretty solid at Daytona. Reno, all except one of his career wins have been at Daytona.
Yeah, see?
So, yeah, Reno for sure is a driver you need to look out for at Daytona. As D-Dog went wide.
Yeah, I seen that in the back.
Yeah.
I seen somebody drifting through turn 1. I was like, uh-oh.
Yep. So, now Kart, he's made his way up to the top 5.
Yeah. The wings aren't helping Panda right now.
It might be producing drag. He has them open right now.
Yeah, well, he forgot to deactivate them.
And now we go all the way. Driver that we said would make his way up to the top 4, and he has. And it's Off-Road, who is all by himself.
Oh wow, that was really sad.
Yeah, Off-Road all by himself. There's a big gap. Yep. It doesn't sound like, though, that he's going at full speed.
Time to check.
Yeah, listening listening in
Oh,
with
that would be
him.
why he's at 10% left.
Oh,
That would do
okay.
it.
So
That would do it.
he's trying to make his way around for fuel. I'm like, off road. He's not.
Somebody who's
Off-road.
somebody. Tyson's in 3rd place at 1% fuel, and he has just missed the pits.
Oh no!
As well as I believe MVP.
Tyson.
Yep, MVP
Oh!
is at 3%.
Tyson's going backwards!
Uh-oh.
This isn't allowed!
MVP has yet again done the Vegas strat, and yet again it has not worked. 3%? First turn. Wait, is caution?
Tyson goes backwards to go around into the pit lane. You are
Oh,
not
caution.
allowed to... Caution is out. Is it?
Unless Vanquish is just trying to help MVP. But I believe it's out.
Maybe. I'm not quite sure what's happening here.
I don't know if Vanquish is trying to help MVP because he's at 3% left, or if caution
They
is
both
out.
are they both are going very slow. And we will see. Now, typically, we do communicate in a different way of fashion, so we're unable to communicate with race control at the moment.
Off-road in 3rd place has 6% at the beginning of the lap. A lot of people were not checking their fuel, apparently.
A lot of people are not checking their fuel, and it does look like off-road, he's not passing them, so it does look like the caution is out.
Yeah. Is anyone else here responsible with fuel? Not really.
Now, oh, Void, sorry about that. Void had another question. What is your highest viewer count ever? In me and all the times that I have broadcasted for XRS, I have only seen double-digit viewers at once, only a handful of times. I have maybe only seen us get to around 15 viewers at once. I haven't really seen us get any more than that. But our actual videos and clips, when we post them and we highlight them, we have gotten, I believe our highest one is in the 70s. So,
Yeah. As
that's
for,
still a lot. Thank you for that.
As for me, I think the highest live I've seen is, for me, 28, and the highest post stream is like 300 something. So.
Very much varies.
Yeah, but you know.
What we're able to see and do. Now the field getting grouped up. I'm hoping the top cars go to pit road.
I don't know. I don't know. I checked Le Mans, and I don't know about MVP. He might still think he has enough for another lap.
In MVP's mind, he has enough to the end of the race. Okay, he can. MVP on 1% can make it the rest of the way.
He's
He needs to
really
turn on his
determined.
fuel tank hacks. He needs to turn on his fuel tank hacks. He's just gonna
As
multiply
for
that
off-road,
1% by
I do believe-
3,000.
I do believe off-road will be going in. As for MVP, it's anyone's guess if he's going in or not. And drum roll, please.
Time to see.
And he does go in. Wow. You know what?
Yep,
I thought he was gonna
go
stay.
in.
Why is
D-Dog
Vanquish
also
going in?
go-
Vanquish literally just pit. Vanquish.
It's Vanquish. Vanquish just pits again, so he can pit. Vanquish would like to be Vanquish.
Vanquish is like, you know what? I like to follow everyone else.
Kart Racer, he stayed out. Oracle stayed out. Did Oracle nearly hit the inside wall?
Maybe.
I swear it looked like. I swear it looked like on his screen that he hit the inside wall.
Now, Kart Racer is weird that he stayed out because he's only at 30%. Because he pit with on the second lap of the race.
No. Oracle's fine.
Oracle's fine. Kart is not. He's okay. He's not. I personally probably would have pit here just to top up, but I mean.
Oh yeah, Kart being at 30%
Yeah.
fuel right now Yeah, probably should have topped out, or this could be part of his fuel strat. He wants to make it to where maybe he's going for more tire life in the final stint of the race, because we're past halfway.
Yeah.
Past halfway, excuse me.
He might be going for the 2-stop strategy, and other people are going for a 3-stop strategy. Or something. I don't know. For all I know,
MVP's trying the 1-stop.
God
okay?
damn it, you beat me to that joke by 1 second. I was about to say that. I started saying that. I was about to say that. And then there's
MVP doing the 1-stop.
And then there's MVP on 1-stop strategy. And then Vanquish is on about a 14-stop strategy. So, we're good.
Yeah, Vanquish 14 stops. Doesn't matter. He's fast.
Yeah, I know. He can make up that time, so it's fine.
Vanquish can make up that time.
Vanquish could do a pit stop every lap and still win the race. So.
Yep. Well, I don't know about pit stop every lap.
Fine, every other lap. It's okay. Why do I have the Vegas stop like trademark? I think MVP deserves that now. Can I like switch that over? He seems to do it at least once a race.
That is legal information that you should not share on stream. Go talk with MVP about it.
He seems to do the Vegas bet a lot more than I'd say.
That is a one-on-one talk with him. Or who knows? Hopefully he finishes top 3 so we can talk with him at the end of the race. And for those of you watching, we do interview the top 3 at the end of the race. So even after the checkered flag, stick around for a little bit, so then we can get the top 3 in here for a couple interview questions.
Especially the Vanquish's strategy on 100% and Python or MVP's not pit stop on 2%. Two very dramatically different outcomes.
Now, to those watching as well, if you haven't already, go ahead. You can explore our Twitch page after this is all said and done. We do have our other social media pages linked. We do have a YouTube, an Instagram, and a TikTok. The TikTok page we just post for fun edits, and that is ran by one of the league owners, Culture. I myself run the Instagram page for the up-to-date news, highlights, and pretty much all-around info for XRS. And the YouTube channel, that is where the podcast will be posted. The podcast will be posted to YouTube, but also you can attend live recording sessions every Friday, starting next week, every Friday.
I just watched the funniest thing to me. I've just seen Kart Racer go dead on into the pit wall.
Well, now it's green flag. Vanquish MVP leading the field into turn 1. Jankum trying to take advantage. Culture tagging D-Dog just a little bit, and now cars fanning out all the way from 6 on back. 3 wide, but we don't want that going into a Rouge.
No, that is not usually a good thing to have.
And they survived. They survived.
A 3 wide through here is definitely not something we want. This length of the track can barely hold 2 cars.
Now going into this chicane, MVP trying to get the lead from Oracle.
All right.
Jankum, this is the first time that we've seen him up at the front.
Goosey's round.
Oh!
Yeah, that all started with D-Dog missing his braking zone. He hit Culture, and then they sort of just went back on track, and unfortunately couldn't blend.
Now the top 5 all jumbled up from what we've been seeing in this race. Oracle in second, Jankum in third, MVP leading the race, Off-Road still in fourth, and now Vanquish in fifth. But obviously, it's not going to take long for Vanquish to make his way back around to that top spot. So now we're going to see how aggressive people want to be while racing.
Yeah, I think we'll start to see people get fairly aggressive now. I think people are starting to hit go time, even though it's only halfway through this race. It's just because of how late we are into the playoffs and how close the battles are. One position could be in the difference of being safe in the playoffs or being inside them.
And now Vanquish making a run on Jankum. And now Oracle, Jankum, and Vanquish. There's going to be a 3-car blanket heading into the final chicane. Let's see what happens here. Jankum got around, but now Vanquish diving way further than either one of them. It looks like he will clear them both. So now Vanquish back up to second, and he's going to work on trying to get to MVP. And now Oracle and Jankum battle for third, and while they battle, Off-Road Hype trying to make his way back into the top 4, possibly even the top 3 here. And all the way back in 6th, Tython. We know Tython has top 3 speed, so it could take a little bit, but we should see this top set of cars go back to where they were running before.
And something I think I would have done different from J-Team is on that last chicane on the final corner, I think I would have defended the inside knowing I had Vanquish behind me and just trying to defend it. That's another thing different between Daytona, ovals like Daytona and Homestead versus a road course like this is you don't really have to defend all too much at Daytona. You defend here and there, but it's really just you block a lane quickly. It's not you're blocking a turn so that the person can't get the inside on you. And that's something that's different about these road courses is you can defend. It's a different way to defend than you would on an oval. You sort of block and hold the inside line, which you may not get the better arc, but you may be able to hold position. But obviously, J-Team didn't do that, and Vanquish got by with the dive bomb on the inside. But I mean, he still only lost 1 spot, and Vanquish I think would have passed them eventually. But I mean, obviously, a little something different, but it is what it is.
Going back to off-road in 5th position right now. Jacob, Oracle, they're close to each other, but it's definitely looking like they're not going to really contest with one another side by side. As Oracle is trying to make his way just through, trying to hit his marks. Jacob for sure trying to get around, but I don't think any of these guys have the speed to be able to get up to Vanquish.
Off-road on the outside, 3 wide into the chicane, not something great. Jacob will back out of that.
And is Off-Road able to do it? They're going to be 3 wide out of this chicane.
Here comes a
Now they quickly disperse.
Tython.
Yep. Tython, he has top 3 speed. So will Tython prevail? This is the first time since the start of the race Off-Road and Tython have been next to each other.
And these guys are all very fast and very competitive with each other for here.
These two are the ones fighting for the 9th playoff spot. Oh. No room given! Off-road off the track and hard into the tire barrier.
Enough impact to lift 2 tons off the ground.
And now he's nearly hit twice by cars coming up a Rouge, but he is able to get out of it.
That will probably almost undoubtedly give us the 3rd caution.
It shows he has no damage.
Okay, maybe not. I would have thought he would have had a ton of damage.
That was a massive impact.
All 4 tires came off the ground. I would have thought he would have had damage. But
maybe
okay.
Since he hit a tire barrier, the energy dispersed enough.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the tire barrier he hit, because I think the tire barriers and the chicanes definitely would cause damage. So it might have just been the tire barrier he hit did that. I don't know. It's not a wall technically.
That was very much an aggressive impact, but it showed that he has no damage from that. You'll see. We'll ride along with MVP. And the leaders right now actually about to have a pretty good battle. MVP and Vanquish trying to make their way. Vanquish, I believe, though, he has been able to complete a lot of successful passes in this chicane. Not really able to get inside him this time, but there is a bump. And that was enough.
MVP spun!
Uh-oh.
MVP spun from that.
Oh, big contact between Vulture and Smokey coming into the chicane. The chicane, again, proving to be a problem spot for a lot of drivers.
And it's looking like they slowed down immediately. The caution is out.
Okay.
The caution is out. Maybe for the contact there with Coulter in the chicane.
I would think there wasn't a lot of contact. It was just a lot of loose coming into the chicane. I'm going to imagine it's going to come out for off-road.
Well, that was for sure interesting, though, because it didn't show that he had damage on the initial telemetry model, on the damage model.
Something I wonder is if maybe settings have been messed up, and they're going based on how a wreck looks.
That is true. Because we've had a race earlier this season. I believe it was the Sonoma race.
I think it was that one. I don't. It was some. It was either that one or the week before or after that one.
Yeah, I believe it was the Sonoma race earlier this season that the lobby settings were not quite to spec, and it made it to where everybody was forced to have cosmetic damage, or no, everyone was forced to have fuel and tires, and with everyone being forced to have fuel and tires, made it to where it was hard to judge if a caution would really be a caution, because there is no way of telling if the car got damaged.
Yeah. Now, on off-roads, I think we could both easily agree that that would have been a caution.
That, yes.
If that this is the case, that would have been a caution.
Yes, very much that would have been a caution.
2 tons lifted off the ground from the impact of off-road wreck, so that definitely deserves a caution.
Now here we will be approaching into the final stretch of laps. 20 out of 31 laps been completed. We are currently on the 21st lap.
Yeah. And now if it wasn't go time before, it's definitely going to be go time now. We are going to be...
And this has been, as we stated earlier, the third caution?
Yeah.
All right, so actually, it's been pretty much typically in line with what we've seen with road courses. Road courses, on a typical NASCAR road course, we see a handful of cautions. We don't typically see that many. It's usually the ovals where we see a few more yellows, where we'll see probably 5-6 ovals on the yellows, and then 2 to 3 on the road courses. And so far, we've been hitting that mark.
Yeah, I think we've only
based off of average.
Yeah, I think we've only had 1 or 2 road courses this year that have gone over that 3 caution mark, and this one's about following suit with 3 cautions.
Of course, we had one race.
I don't believe we'll be going green this time.
Nope,
okay.
They are. They're going green.
I've seen a couple cars turned around the back. Nope.
Nope, they slowed down. Called back, so a false restart.
Yeah, I've seen a couple cars turned around. I believe it was Cam turned around coming out of the last corner.
Begley, thank you for the follow. So it is currently looking like we had a false restart called there. False restart makes it to where if the leaders, once they get going, if they don't make it past the start line or pretty much past that front straightaway, and cars are already wrecking before the start of the race, or before the actual start, when the leaders get going, then a false restart is called. We re-rack the field, get them all set up back into their positions.
I think we've only had 1 false restart this year, and I think it was at the first race at Daytona, if I'm not mistaken.
It might have been, or that might have been the first false restart this season. We usually don't have them called.
I don't know if I'm thinking
false
of
restarts.
Different series, or I don't know. I could be thinking of a different
Could've
series,
been.
but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd have to go back and watch the replay.
false restarts don't happen very often in XRS. I believe before this one, the last time I can remember off the top of my head, it was at a Watkins Glen race, either last season or 2 seasons ago,
Yeah,
when we had a
yeah,
false
I know what you're
restart
talking
called.
about. It was definitely last season.
Yeah.
Track was completely blocked before the first corner.
Mm-hmm.
I would know because I was one of the first cars to be involved in that one. I was part of the reason the track was blocked.
Now I believe we're 1 follower away from 40
Hey.
on the Twitch page. Yay!
I mean,
we do have a goal of 50 followers for the XRS Twitch.
Yeah, I think
And
at
we wanna
that
push for more than
exhibition
that.
IndyCar race, I surpassed 60, so we're on track.
Nice.
We're going somewhere bit by bit.
Someone should make a Prime paint scheme. I believe you are referring to the Logan Paul drink. He's trying to be a competitor with Gatorade and all that. I have actually yet to try that.
I have yet to
I
try it,
have
nor
yet-
do I plan to try it.
I do want to try it just to see, because I've heard people say it's better than Gatorade, but it's not quite as good as Body Armor. So that's what I've heard, at least, and I would be willing to try. It's mid. That's...
Uh-oh. We might be going around one. We might be... Maybe not? Okay. It looked a little shady at the beginning. Okay.
And right now, D-Dog,
Jacob,
Jacob, Reno, and others involved spinning around turn 1.
Cam appeared to just completely miss his braking zone, and that was the result.
Along with FM here. Oh, as he got loose, but he saves it! At the top, wow!
I also... Were you riding along with FM or Goosey?
FM I was riding along with.
I'm 90% sure Goosey just did the exact same thing. I believe we just had
Whoa,
two
and
drivers
Smokey!
extremely loose there.
Yeah, as close beating and banging happens back just outside the top 10, more towards the back half of the field. Now going closer, let's go to just inside the top 10. Let's go to 7th off-road.
Oh, Hyphen's going to make a move for second over MVP. Operator sort of just running away right now with everything happening around them.
Yep. Tyson has made the pass on MVP. But unsure if he would have anything for Vanquish. Because Vanquish for sure has been the fastest driver of the day. He's been at the front.
Yeah, he just, he set the fastest lap of the race just before the caution came out with a 2-minute 16.190.
Wow, that's faster than his practice time.
Yeah.
Very much faster.
I think the only person that may have been able to challenge that might have been MVP.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So very much been out front and just wants to stay out front for clear.
Yeah, and I mean, that's pretty much what he's done all the, pretty much all season is just very, very, very consistently fast, especially at these road courses. And that's obviously why He's moved up the ranks, even though he joined a couple of races late in the season.
Right along with off-road here. Off-road, he for sure wanted heavy anticipation to try and fight with Tython. And it looked like that could have very much happened. Off-road, he qualified in the top 4, but now he's all the way back at 7th. Time is running out, and he knows he needs to make up a lot of positions in order for him to stay in that fight with Tython for the 9th playoff spot.
Yeah, it just seems off-road. It's just been in the wrong place at the wrong time a couple of times now. As he's been caught up in 2 cautions, which I don't believe either one of them was really of his own doing. I believe he was just caught up in the wrong time, in the wrong place at the wrong time. Also, definitely the second one was not of his own doing. I believe it was Tython to his inside. Just came in a little too hot and nudged him, and he went off into the outside tire wall. For the last caution. So he's just been just not having the luck he's wanted here too.
Very much not so, and now off-road in the 8 falls back to 8th after him and Jankum battling. So, but he is trying to make up more ground. He knows that he has speed. Jankum, a good race overall for him. He started in last, but that was only because he didn't qualify. He didn't qualify for the actual race, wasn't in the qualifying session. And Jankum, he for sure is close to a top 5 driver almost everywhere. So he's a good all-around driver. So we expect this from Jankum, being fast overall. And now this could lead to more problems for others. Beating and banging. Cam, Oracle, up ahead. None of them look like they have gotten damage or spun around, though.
No, this is something that you want to see if you're in the back of it, but you don't really want to sit here in the middle of it, is a pack like this, especially at a track like this, where it's a very technical and sharp track where one mistake could ruin people's races. Is we see basically 5th through 9th, all in this pack here.
Yep, they're all in a short group of cars here, led by Jankum, going all the way back to, I believe it's Culture, yeah. And now RZX Cam in 6th, trying to contest here with Jankum. He's gotten close to him a couple times. Wouldn't be surprised if he's able to make a good run, but now Oracle challenging him as well. A little tag right there. He kisses the wall.
Yeah, now that could have been just a little saying Cam, hey, back it off, because it seems like Oracle and Cam, every time I cut to them, they're sort of beating and banging each other and pushing each other off track. As I've pretty much cut to them in this 4 or 5 times, and every time one of them sideways off the bump of the other, or one's almost into the wall off of each other. So I don't know how nice these two are playing with each other right now.
Culture caught in the sand trap.
Thought I saw somebody either in the sand trap or around.
Yeah, Culture, he got caught in the sand trap, killing his momentum. Now Goosey goes on by, but Goosey, he does make a mistake. Doesn't look like Culture will gather enough momentum, though.
Yeah, I just don't know how friendly Cam and Oracle are driving right now with each other. Like I said, I've cut to them probably 4 or 5 times, and every time it seems one of them is going off the bumper of the other.
So now, Tython and MVP, they are still very much next to each other. Now we're going to pull up the track map for... There you see the gap between first and Tython and MVP. The separation between first and second. It's quite a significant one. So Vanquish just hoping for no caution to come out.
Yeah, obviously Vanquish does not want to caution him out. Right now he's happy and content in the lead. Where the real battle, I believe, is in second, yeah. Second right now is under heavy contest from MVP. Obviously, Tython's trying to hold him off. A second here would very much help Tython. As if we look, the person he's battling, D-Dog, is all the way in 13th. Right, so this will be huge points for Tython right now, which is obviously what he wants. So, yeah, one spot might not matter, but as you climb into these top three, the point gaps between them rise. It's not just, I believe, what I think it's what 1 point difference or 2 point difference or something. I'd have to go back and check. But obviously, once you get up to here, it's 5. I believe it's 5 point difference between the position from third to first. So obviously, huge point loss, huge point gain to be in these top three.
Yep, and Cam getting aggressive here. 6th and 7th, Oracle and Cam. Cam has been known to be one of the more aggressive drivers in terms of his driving style. He wants to go for it every single time. And that has cost him in the past, as it might cost him here. Off-road going around, and now he's up to 7th.
Yeah, again, another person that can benefit from this, obviously, another person he's battling currently to get in that playoffs if he has a chance to. Obviously, again, behind him, but the main person he's battling is Tython, and Tython is now 5 spots ahead of him. And yet again, in that top 3 where those points gradually get bigger from 3rd to 5th, with each position giving 1 more point than the last. So, obviously, not great compared to the short playoff look, but in the bigger playoff look to get inside the playoffs, he's not doing terrible.
And Vanquish just hoping the field doesn't crash.
Yeah.
As he's on lap 27, and I believe the caution cutoff for this race is lap 29. So when the leader hits 29, that is when the cutoff is.
Obviously, another thing that Vanquish didn't want is his internet to cut out like it has twice in the past.
Well, I believe one time it was he left. But no. He has had disconnects in the past, and with a disconnect, you're not credited in the position that you were in.
Yeah, especially if you're first. You were definitely going to drop. Yeah, you just get whatever the last place position at that moment is. So if 2 people will disconnect in second person, I believe you would get, what, 15th? Correct me if I'm wrong.
He would get if there's still 16 drivers competing, then if you disconnect, then you would get 16th.
I thought it was just if one person behind you disconnects and then you disconnect, but obviously I could be wrong with that. And I most likely am.
Well, it's just that if you disconnect, then you automatically are given points for the last position in the lobby, because your position automatically goes from where you were to the very tail end.
Yeah.
So, yeah, on a disconnect, if you do disconnect, right now with 16 drivers, if someone disconnects, they will be credited a 16th place finish.
Yeah.
As off-road, he did get a little tag from Oracle, and Oracle couldn't get going. Gets a little tag from Cam. Not looking like any of them got damaged. They're all continuing to accelerate and battle away. Off-road, he's hoping for a yellow. He's in 6th. But at the state right now, it's not looking like we might get a yellow.
Yeah, really, I think the only...
We have a car in pit lane. Reno's in pit lane.
I believe that warrants us to check fuel and see if maybe a couple of these guys are close. We're cutting it close.
Well, let's check into the leader. And he is at 31, but that should be enough.
So far, lowest I've seen is 30. not through the entire field. I'll make that 25 with Cam. Make that 15
28
with
with
Oracle.
Typhon.
15 with Oracle, so that might be
Ooh.
our Vegas stratter over there.
So Oracle all the way back in 8th with, you said 15%
Yeah,
fuel.
15
Let's go
at the
check
top.
in here. Yep, he's still at 15%.
That definitely will be cutting it close. I don't know quite how much you waste on a lap. But, he'll definitely be one to watch to make sure that he can make it to the end. Though, at here, with everyone being more than good with fuel, I don't know if that was the best move. But obviously, it's way too late now to try and change that with 2 to go. Unfortunately, that's just a little too late to be able to change your strategy up when you're basically committed to it now.
Let's ride along with other drivers, seeing where they are at. Especially those inside the top 10, top 8. And a lot of them are near that 30% mark. Jankum at 25. Kart Racer at 27. MVP at 26. Typhon at 23, almost 22. And Vanquish the leader at 25. And it does sound like Vanquish is taking small advantage of his large gap, because you can tell that he's not quite going 100%, listening to the RPMs. But he is for sure keeping the car chugging and rolling along, so then he doesn't lose that much time. And whoa! Is that a lag spike in spectator?
That definitely would have been. I don't believe I don't know if I got it or not. Oh, MVP is now re-picking Typhon for 2nd place.
Yep, that's the battle that we were watching, but there was a small lag spike on the stream, so couldn't really quite see how the pass was performed.
Looks like Typhon's going to try and make it. But he is on the outside of the first chicane, so I don't know how well that's going to work. Oh!
Might try the crossover. Yep, he does. Goes with the crossover.
Great move. Let's see. MVP get the crossover on his part. Not quite. Typhon set up in a great spot right now, being able to defend that inside. Again, MVP's going to try and cross over. Can't quite get it done. He might be just a little faster than Typhon, though. MVP backed out there. He's going to wait and set him up again.
And this should be a good battle here for 2nd and 3rd. But the race for 1st, just about all said and done.
Yeah, obviously now that cautions are off, but it's pretty much set in stone with the lead Vanquish has, unless he disconnects or has a major incident. I don't know if we know for sure settings are correct, so maybe even a major wreck wouldn't even harm him unless he obviously loses that time. But I think as it stands right now, Vanquish is pretty much a clear-cut winner. Oh, it looks like Typhon went off a little bit, and MVP's going to capitalize.
No, MVP did get into Typhon a little bit to send him wide. But Typhon, he's fighting back. They want 2nd place.
Oh!
And oh! And off they go.
Yeah, MVP is going to
I
get that
believe-
spot back.
Yeah. MVP, he recognizes that was a mistake on his part, so good sportsmanship there.
Yeah.
And
Honestly,
MVP, now they're able to continue the battle.
not how MVP wants the race. As Vanquish is currently putting up consistent 2-minute 16 to his lap. Last lap just posted at a 2-minute 16.990.
As now, as Vanquish comes out, final chicane, he will take the white flag. And now it is the last lap of the race. Vanquish currently in first. Titan and MVP second and third, trying to battle it out there. Then the order after that goes Kart Racer, Off-Road, Jenkim, RZX Cam, Goosey, D-Dog, and Panda rounding off the top 10. Culture, Edwards, Smokey, Oracle, Reno, and FM rounding out the rest of the field.
As I think Oracle has run out. Or close to it, because he has fallen back a lot. Yeah, he had to pit. So Oracle at some point
he very much
pit.
needed to pit.
So
Yep, Oracle needed to head to pit road.
1 for 6 on the Vegas strap. Oh, well, I would say this is close if we were 2 to go, but Titan is at 7% fuel. But
No,
he should
have,
be, yeah, he'll have
should,
enough. But if
he'll have
I think
enough.
If we had
yes.
one more lap to go, I think he might be pulling a potential of a Vegas strat. I don't know if this will qualify or not. We'll have to check at the end.
Well, as of right now, all good with them. Titan, MVP, not quite close to each other, but you never quite know. A last second attempt can be made.
Yeah, these two have pretty much been battling the entire night between Titan and MVP. I don't think there's been one moment where these two haven't been at one position ahead or behind each other.
Now let's quickly go ahead. Vanquish coming off the final corner. He will win race 14 of the XRS season at Spa. Now Titan, MVP. Now the final chicane as well. MVP tries for it. They're side by side. Side race to the line. MVP able to get second. That's a glitch because now it says he's in third.
Hey, it was a Vegas strat. 1% fuel left.
1% fuel at the line for Titan.
Okay, so 2%.
Kart Racer.
2 for 7.
Kart Racer able to finish out in fourth, and then Off-Road Hype able to get into the top 5.
No, MVP's 1% off.
Jenkins for 6th. D-Dog 7th. Cam in 8th. Goosey 9th. And Panda rounding out the top 10.
Okay, so far I'm at 2 for 9. 2 for 10. 2 for 11. I'm not counting that.
So, great race overall. Saw some good battling, but obviously, though, Vanquish coming out on top.
Not one person besides Oracle in this race finished with more than 10% left in their tank. I just went through the entire field, and now the Vegas strat is at 2 for 12. Inside top 3s.
And so now that will mark Vanquish. He won at Mugello. He won at Monza. He won at Indy twice.
Technically.
Yes. He won at Hockenheim, and now he wins at Spa for the 7th race this season. He has gone to victory lane.
That's got to be a record.
Seventh victory for Vanquish this season.
And they missed what, like the first 3 races or something? First 4?
He for sure did, yeah.
Got to be a record somewhere.
Actually, no.
What?
Nope, that
Alright,
is not a record.
Who has more wins? One season.
It is a close though.
MVP, I have to congratulate you. You didn't run out of fuel during. Well, you came. Well, I don't know. You came fairly close. See, Typhon did exactly what you, Typhon, and Off-Road were all at like 2% at that caution. And you guys were almost going to go again.
All right. Typhon, of course, declining his post-race. So now we have MVP and Vanquish to talk with. So, are you guys, mics are both connected and party audio going
Yes.
well? All right. So, MVP, as you said when you first joined the party, the last 5 laps of that between you and Typhon, you guys were practically glued to each other there, fighting for second place. Was I don't think there's anything that you could have done differently because it was a photo finish at the line. How much were you actually trying to get that second spot? Because it looked fun from our view.
Well, for viewers, please pardon my language. I was driving my ass off trying to pass this man lap after lap. I would back up every corner because I'd see he would slightly overdrive the corner, but he'd always position himself on the inside. I mean, it was a pain, but it was a blast. Those last 5 laps.
As noted by AK, you did get close a couple times on fuel there. You've been almost notorious for that the past handful of times. Getting close on fuel, trying to have a little fun. But overall, like with pit strategy and what we were seeing in tonight's race, what do you think about the first race at Spa that we've done here in the Cup cars?
I thought it was fun. I'm glad on the officiating of making sure Rouge was supposed to be ran how it was and not everyone just try blowing through it, because that would have made tonight probably a lot worse than what it needed to be.
All right, but now this puts you, again, you, MVP, and Vanquish just trying to get as close as you guys can, not just the regular season points, but now playoff points, of course, as well, trying to fight more. After this week, we're in a final stint of very similar tracks to try and fight our way into the playoffs. Of course, you and Vanquish, very safe, but I'm sure you're looking to rack up a lot of playoff points, so then you don't need to worry about points come to playoffs.
Yeah, other than Le Mans, my man here has been on a tear and he's not sharing. I swear to God, I will move you like you were trying to move me earlier today, guy. I am not in the mood. Well, that I'm tired too. So, I was not. When you moved me, Vanquish, I swear I was like, God damn it. But I'm also
Yeah, I was trying.
Yeah, I know you were. I'm like super tired though. I've been up since 3 in the morning. I am glad the race is over just because I'm tired. It was a great race. It was a great battle at the end. I had a fun time. I'll see y'all next week.
And we will see you. We'll see you there. Good luck to you next week.
Thank you very much.
Now, AK, you know the drill.
Yeah, this is what, my 7th time doing it now.
I think 8.
This is
Obviously,
a seventh, eighth time.
well, obviously, first of all, congratulations, Vanquish, on your 7th win of the season. I'm pretty sure I should just be expecting to interview you at this point, because I think if we did a total of the regular season, I'm pretty sure you've won close to a third of it, with races. So obviously, how does that feel, first of all, to win 7 races this season?
Hold on,
Yeah,
AK.
it feels. What?
Before you say
Go ahead.
anything, Make-Wish, what race is this? Number 14?
Yes,
Man,
14th
it's not
race.
half the races.
Oh,
You need a
whoops, little
chill, guy. You need a chill.
Nah. Having
Sorry,
fun.
it appears I'm thinking about the entire season. 23 races in the entire season.
Yeah, it feels good.
Obviously, it seemed for the last half of the race, you pretty much cruised throughout it. Obviously, had to fight your way up just a little bit in the 3rd and final caution, but it seemed for the most part you were just cruising. What would you say the keys to this track were this week?
I would say just being able to guess the start, really. Which it didn't really matter. We all passed each other on the restarts. I guess it doesn't matter. But I don't know. Really, it's just luck, more luck than and consistency. Got to be consistent.
Well, you were definitely consistently fast, setting the fastest lap, obviously 2 minutes 16.190, and it seemed like you were consistently hitting those 2-minute 16s. So it did seem like you were both consistent and fast. So yeah, I would definitely say that lines up. Obviously, you pretty much set yourself in stone as one of the favorites coming into the playoffs. I mean, how far do you think you could take it into the playoffs?
I mean, I don't.
You say
Hopefully as
anything
far as
less
they can
than
go.
Final 4, my guy. I swear to God.
Hopefully all the way to the end. Hopefully I can make it top 4. Maybe. I don't know. I got a lot of enemies. I feel like being at the top, you get a lot of enemies. Nobody wants to see you succeed.
I think I found one.
Yeah, he's right there.
What are you talking about?
When you're at the top, you get a lot of enemies. That's how it works. Guy in
MVP?
second's usually the one that hates you the
Response?
most.
I mean, I am the point leader, but I don't know. I find my P's and Q's.
Anyways, as always, Vanquish, congratulations on the race win this weekend. Good luck coming into next weekend. We hope to see you there.
Thank you.
And back to you.
And that will wrap up post-race interviews and will overall wrap up this broadcast. AK, thank you once again being in the booth here. It's going to be a lot of excitement heading into these next few races. A lot of things that we're going to be tracking. Who's in, who's out, who's trying to make their way up in the playoff points and those standings, just to set themselves up to have a well and successful playoff run. The 9th playoff spot, going to be a couple drivers that maybe we'll see in and out, and obviously the battle gets closer and closer and closer that we get, so it should be fun to see. But overall, what would you say were the main points that we saw in this race?
Yeah, like we said early on, we expected a dark horse. I think we found that dark horse being Typhon. Obviously, didn't quite run as fast as Vanquish, but also he did put up another 2:16 lap. He was one of the 2 drivers to do that. Unfortunately, did just barely get right at the line by MVP, so he did fall down to a 3rd. But overall, exactly what he wanted to see tonight with D-Dog going to 7th. So he's definitely looking to make up that spot. If not, he's looking to make that 9th spot, and he looks to be the guy that's going to be able to do it. His challenger off-road obviously finishing 5th today, so off-road's going to lose a little bit of ground to Tyson tonight. But I think it's about what we expected. It followed the average caution, the average cautions being 3, 2 to 3 area, and it was a fairly exciting race too, with a lot of close racing during the second half. So obviously a very fun, interesting race tonight.
Yep, and as we go forward into the next 4 races leading into the cutoff at Daytona, very much similar tracks. No more curveball, no more first-time appearances at tracks, and so it's really game on from here. And really, best of luck to all drivers competing, because it's going to be exciting. And me and AK, can't wait to see that. AK, thank you for joining me here once again. And next week, we're going to be busy at Race 15 at Homestead Road Course in the rain. So first rain race of this season. And it will be an exciting one to watch. And also, obviously, coming up this Friday, make sure to tune in on Twitch. And if you miss out on Twitch, we will upload to our YouTube channel episode 1 of the XRS Wheel to Wheel podcast. Hopefully we'll see you there. Fan243 AK signing off from the spot.